2 days before Christmas, and Christchurch has had the worst possible present. 4 big shakes rattled through the city this afternoon, causing more damage, more liquefaction, and demoralising a city that had hoped the year and the worst of it was over. The quakes ranged in intensity from 5 on the Richter scale up to a 6, with some small ones in between. One of those to feel them was our own Mike McRoberts, who was in the city on holiday. Mike, you witnessed it all firsthand.
Yes, Hamish, and we're just having a little rumble again. Now, look, I can tell you that if there's one piece of good fortune or even good news from the swarm of quakes that we've had this afternoon, is that no one was killed or even seriously hurt. But here in the eastern suburbs, the dreaded liquefaction is back. This is Waygreen Ave in New Brighton, although it looks more like Waygreen River, doesn't it? And this tonight is again a city on edge. It was 2 minutes to 2 when the ground started moving once again. These pictures show dust rising from rockfalls in the Redcliffs area.
And not safer up here?
No, we just prefer that everyone is off the cliff.
In eastern Christchurch, mud and water bubbled to the surface. The scene was all too familiar for those trying to get back on track and clean up after February's big quake. Christchurch Airport was evacuated, creating backlogs elsewhere. Checks were being carried out before it could reopen.
It was a big shake inside, yes. We've been through the last 3 and this was a big shake. Yeah, I almost sat on the ground.
Pretty freaky actually. We're used to it, we're locals, but new solid building.
It was quite scary, yeah. Just watching the ceiling, making sure nothing's going to come down.
It felt really big. We were upstairs in the 2-storey part of the lounge waiting. We'd just taken Mum up there and it was shaking like anything. Things started falling down off the roofs.
Emergency services scrambled to ensure everyone was out of shopping malls on what was one of the busiest days before Christmas.
The people were standing in the way of they were standing under the beams trying to stop people getting out of the mall, which is quite scary. Yeah, and but the look of people's faces was incredible.
After the first shake, as mourners were heading back inside this funeral parlour, it started rattling again. There's been 4 large quakes this afternoon, the biggest measuring magnitude 6. St John Ambulance responded to at least 19 people with various ailments. Some had collapsed, had panic attacks or chest pains.
It was just horrible. Yeah, I'm waiting for my mum. I have no idea where she is. I spoke to her over probably an hour and a half ago and now she's still not here.
Phone services were disrupted and about 26,000 Orion customers are without power in the eastern suburbs, including New Brighton and Dallington. For some, this is the last straw.
It's beyond devastating. It's happened again. I'm sick of it. I'm to a motel now. I've had enough.
And Hamish, you know, that's a sentiment that's echoed in this street for those residents that felt up to talking to me. They said, that's it. They're gone and they won't be back.
Mike, you've been in Christchurch for a lot of earthquakes. What did today's feel like?
Well, Hamish, as you know, the last big one was probably back in September during the Rugby World Cup. I think it was the quarter-final night when the All Blacks were playing Argentina. It was quite a sharp jolt. I was here for that one too. Today's swarm of earthquakes felt more like back in February, that rolling, rumbling, sort of violent feel. And when you're sitting inside a building, it's like a freight train's about to come through the middle of it. And that, I think, has had people fearing the most because it reminded them so much of those earthquakes back in February. And
also you've got the little aftershocks in between the big ones. Unnerving, rattling?
Yeah, the rumbling, and here in the eastern suburbs, you know, it's just, it's crazy, it's nuts. You just feel the earth rumbling beneath you and you wonder what's next. This really is a scary time for the residents here.